I mean, for the first time, seeing that you'll work on multi-million-dollar deals and things like that was just insane to me. It just blew my mind. Like, hey y'all, it's your girl Angela. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new here. Today's video, we're going to be talking all about the Summer Associate Program. So I did a poll on my community tab and asked for some video ideas, and some of you wrote in and gave me some video ideas. There were a lot of questions about the Summer Associate Program, so I thought I would make an entire video on that. So if you are not subscribed, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss my community tab post when I ask for video ideas. Also, some other YouTube housekeeping. Please make sure that you like the video, make sure you comment on the video, and make sure you're subscribed. That really does help. Engagement is super important with YouTube to get your channel noticed and to get YouTube to push your content. I spend a lot of my time in my little free time making these videos and really trying to add value to you guys. So if you guys do want to show your support and your thanks, liking, commenting, and subscribing is the way to do it. Lastly, make sure you check out my description box. I have discount codes for LSAT courses and all sorts of things. My Amazon storefront, make sure you check that out. There's a lot of information there. Also, a lot of you newbies ask, you know, kind of the same questions. What school did you go to? Where are you licensed? Those frequently asked questions are in the description box, so make sure you check those out. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So for those of you who don't know, a summer associate position is basically an internship for law students at law firms throughout the summer. The law student is called an associate because typically in law firms, non-partner lawyers within the firm are called associates. Now there are caveats for, you know, of counsel or more senior lawyers who not quite associates, but who did not opt to be partners either. But for the most part, most non-partner or shareholder lawyers are called associates within the firm. Summer associate positions are great opportunities for law students, particularly because there's a high likelihood that you'll end the internship with a full-time job offer. And this is really talking about 2L summer associate positions. Also, this is really more typical with your mid-sized to large law firms. So the timeline for summer associate positions really varies on the firm, but it's typically between 6 weeks and 12 weeks. So back in my day when I was in law school going through the summers, it was very typical for a student to split their summer between two firms. So my summer associateships were 6 weeks each. Nowadays, firms are leaning away from allowing people to split for obvious reasons. So I feel like firm selection is even more important for you guys who don't get the split, because that firm is likely going to be the firm that you start at. So one thing to think about when choosing between competing offers, say you have two summer associateship offers and you can only choose one, you really have to think about what is important to you when determining which offer to choose. For some, it could be money, prestige, those types of things. For others, it's practice areas, culture, the vibes you got at the interview. It really just depends and it's personal to you. One thing to note is that summer associate positions as a 1L are extremely limited, okay? So if you do not secure a 1L summer associate position, do not fret. The summer that is most important is your 2L summer. Okay, so let's talk about kind of the makeup of the summer associate program. So this is going to vary firm by firm, okay? Some firms will allow you to select which practice areas that you want to work in for the summer. Most firms who do allow you to select, they'll give you an option to select 2 to 3 different practice areas to be in while you're a summer associate at that firm. Other firms will require you to kind of rotate throughout all the sections. They'll give you an array of work. That's not actually a bad thing because you do get exposure to different types of work. So essentially for that summer, you will be working as if you are an associate with that firm. So you will be giving work assignments and projects typical of a first year or junior lawyer within that organization. In addition to the work aspect, there will be various social events. There will be lunches, dinners, all sorts of events that I'll kind of get into a little bit later. But it is important to note that there is a social aspect of the summer associate program. From my experience, many law firms will assign you a partner mentor, an associate mentor to help guide you through the whole entire summer associate program. So you will be, you know, meeting and working and dealing with other people, but those will kind of be your guides to help you through, that you can ask questions, that you'll go to lunches and have calls and coffees and things like that with a lot throughout your time at that firm. With respect to offering full-time job positions to summer associates, from my experience, most firms hire within intent to hire everyone that they bring on. I've heard different things for different people where, you know, it's very competitive and there are only a certain amount of spots. But from my experience, the firms let us know up front, we have every intention to hire each and every single one of you. You almost had to do something just really bad or really dumb to not get an offer. With respect to giving offers, that will also vary by firm. Some firms will give you an offer specifically for a practice group up front in your offer. Say you're offered this practice group or this practice group or these 2 practice groups, and you can choose. And by practice groups, I just mean the type of law you will practice. So let's say, you know, M&A, which is what I do, and civil litigation. Other firms will give you a general offer to the firm and then will place you based on need and desire. From my experience, you usually get to let them know your preferences and they will try to accommodate that as much as they can. But again, this really does vary by firm. Also, when it comes to timing of getting offers, that will vary by firm as well. So for me, at one firm, at the end of that summer associateship on the last day, everyone got their offers that day. And I think the firm did that because every single person was given an offer. So they wanted us to all be able to, you know, celebrate together and go out with a bang. With the other firm that I summered at, we found out like maybe a week or a week and a half later, they called and extended offers to everyone. So timing will just depend on the firm and the circumstances. Okay, so I've talked about this before on the channel, but for those of you who are new, I'll tell you a little bit about my experience as a summer associate. So I was lucky enough to get a summer associate position as a 1L at one firm. And then the second year I went back to that same firm and then split and did it with another firm. I enjoyed my summer associate programs thoroughly, okay? I ended up at 2 great firms, and I'm not just saying that, I'm not at either firm, so there's no capping over here. I really enjoyed the summer program for many reasons. I mean, honestly, the money was great. The experience, the social aspect was so cool. I got to meet so many people and just really network. Honestly, the biggest thing that I liked about the summer program is just I realized the type of work that I had the opportunity to work on and that I would have the opportunity to work on if I went down that path of working at either one of those firms. I mean, for the first time, seeing that you'll work on multi-million-dollar deals and things like that was just insane to me. It just blew my mind. Like, obviously now, you know, I'm used to it and it's just kind of everyday normal life for me. But back then, as a, you know, budding, hopeful future lawyer, it was so cool to me. So I really did enjoy my time at both of the firms that I summered at. So I'll talk a little bit about my experience and just kind of things you can expect. I really got to see a glimpse of what it was like to be a practicing lawyer. I mean, you guys know, like, you guys like to watch these day in the lives of the lawyer, or you really just want to see what it's like. And that was really cool for me to be able to kind of, you know, I'm in school, but it's summer and I'm like feigning being a lawyer day to day for 6 to 12 weeks, you know. It was really cool for me to get an understanding of what my life would look like post law school. Another thing that was really cool, that you'll experience this too if you do enter in the summer associate programs, you really get the works, okay? You get an office, you get a work phone, you get a work laptop, you get a work email, you get an assistant, you go through training, like all those things. Like, they really put it on. They really simulate the experience of what it will be like when you start as an attorney at that firm. And again, you know, as a law student, you know, you've never had a lawyer job before, it's just really exciting. I kind of touched on this already, but you just get exposure to high-level substantive work and you get to see the types of matters or deals or cases you'll be working on. Another thing was great is, you know, I got to meet so many people within the firm, and I've talked about this a little bit before, but I summered at 2 really good firms my 2L year. And the firm I chose versus the firm that I didn't choose, they were kind of neck and neck, but the firm that I didn't choose, like prestige wise, ranking wise, was ranked higher. And there were many people that did that same split where we both were at the same firm. In majority, I would say 95% of the people that split went to the other firm. And I think a lot of it had to do with the prestige. But myself, I went with the less prestigious firm because I had just built so many connections being there as a 1L and a 2L. I, you know, had mentors. I just really met people and made deep connections and relationships with people. And what you'll find when you get out into practice is that relationships are everything, okay? Especially as a junior lawyer, especially as a baby lawyer, relationships and knowing people and connections with people is how you get work. It's how you get exposure to good work, and it's how you get people to invest in you. So that's how I made my decision. But yeah, that's one thing to really take advantage of when you get to that firm, is really building building those connections and making those relationships with people. Another thing that I got to experience, which you will experience as well, is getting exposure to different types of practice areas of law. Law school is very litigation based, and so when I got to the law firm, it opened up my world about what types of law there are. And there are so many different types of law. And this is one thing I realized when I became a lawyer, is that most people, when they think lawyer, they just think that means you know everything about the law. They think you know everything. They'll come to you with an intellectual property question. They'll come to you with a criminal law question. And it's like, girl, sir, I don't do any of that. I am not a family law lawyer. I do not know anything about, you know, your divorce. And so getting to the law firm and seeing all the different practice areas they have, I mean, it really just opened my eyes that you can practice so many different types of law and have so many specialties. And I actually did a video on different types of lawyers, and that was just not even scraping the surface, you guys. I honestly should do a part 2. I'll link that video up here. But yeah, you guys, it really gave me exposure to the different type of avenues and paths I can go down as an attorney. So I mentioned that it'll vary by firm how you get exposure to work and what practice areas you'll get exposure to. So I'll just tell you a little bit about my experience. So both of the firms I summered at, you got to pick which practice areas you want to be a part of, you know, during your time there. So as a 1L, I chose general corporate and securities law and business transactions law. Business transaction was basically your banking and finance and real estate transactions. At that point, I'd pretty much known that I wanted to be a business lawyer. So my 2L year, I went back to the same firm and I dropped corporate and securities and kept business transactions, and then picked up what's called public finance. And what's crazy is now I'm a corporate lawyer. So it's funny that I didn't choose that back then, but I think then I kind of just got more exposure to the securities type work and didn't really like it. And then at the other firm, I picked corporate again, and then I picked employment law. And the reason why I picked employment law is because people were basically saying that there's a way that could be transactional. And so I was like, well, let me just give it a try. That way, maybe I could do quasi-litigation and employment. I confirmed litigation was not for me. So those were kind of the things I picked. And like I said, these days, I think firms are kind of making it more general where you get exposure to all areas of the firm. And honestly, I don't think that's a bad idea. Okay, so I did mention earlier that there is a big social aspect of the summer associate program. So let's talk about some of the types of events I attended. You guys, I had a ball, okay? We had a lot of fun. So we went to concerts, Beyonce concert. Yes, Beyonce. Dinners. We went to so many dinners, and at this time I was in Houston. You guys know the Houston food scene is amazing. I got to try out so many fancy restaurants that I never would have went to at that time on my own. Lunches, again, got to try out so many good restaurants and just bond with different people. Different attorneys would take you to lunch. We do group lunches. So fun. Same with dinner. Nails with the girls, like with other women attorneys within the group. They take us to do nails, spa type thing. That was really fun. Cooking classes, brewery tours, baseball games, and just all sorts of things, you guys. I can't even remember. I don't know, for those of you who are going into the summer program this year, I'm not sure how that's gonna look. So if you guys aren't doing it in person, obviously that will be kind of scaled back a little bit, but I do know that firms get really creative and they'll still find ways to do certain things, probably like virtual wine tasting and things like that. So you guys still will have events, but if you guys don't go in person, it will be a little bit different. But this video is an evergreen type of video, so later this will be relevant again. One of the questions that was asked is basically what are the pros and cons of the summer program. So pros, just to go over it again, with exposure to work experience, the networking aspect, you meet so many people, make so many connections. The job, the likelihood that you get a full-time offer for work after law school, I mean, that's amazing. And the perks that come along with that. And lastly, money. You guys, during these summer associate programs, you literally get paid as if you were a first-year associate for that amount of time. So you get, if you're there for 12 weeks, you get 12 weeks of first-year associate pay. And let me tell you guys, it's not chump change. Okay, let's talk about some cons. Honestly, you guys know I love the summer associate program. I just can't really see getting experience, even if you don't like it later or find out you don't like it. That's not a con because now you know. But just a couple things I can think of for cons. One, they're short stints. So for me, right, since I split summers, they were 6 weeks, right? So 6 weeks is not a lot of time to get exposure to different types of work to kind of figure out what you want to do. Look at my own story. I summer corporate twice and did not choose it, and now that is what I practice. That is the type of work that I like doing. And in the summer, I didn't even get enough exposure to that to realize that. So that would be a con. I would say it's kind of a little bit too short to really know for some people. Secondly, there's limitations on what you can do and understand. Obviously, you know, you're thrown in there and you want exposure to certain things. Like for me, I'm a deal lawyer, okay? The deal process can go for weeks. You know what I mean? A trial process, even if you're not a deal lawyer, if you're a litigator, if you get in on a trial, you know, that goes for weeks. So you're not even there sometimes long enough to go through the whole process to see things. Another thing, this is not really a con, but just something to be aware of, is some portions of the summer program are not realistic, okay? That is not what your everyday life is gonna be like. And that would be really the social aspect. People are not gonna be taking you to lunch and dinner every night and taking you to get nails. I mean, there's still perks to working at a firm, but they're definitely scaled back. And then the last thing I thought about was, you might feel overwhelmed with the social versus work aspect. The work is so new to you, but you feel obligated to do the social stuff because that's how you get your name out there. People get to meet you. And so you might feel overwhelmed by it because, you know, it's all new to you. Okay, so let's talk about the typical tasks you can expect to do as a summer associate. I mentioned before that it's really typical of what you do as a very junior or first year type of lawyer, but let's just go through some tasks so you can start wrapping your head around what you might expect. One thing, this is not really substantive, but it's super important, is learning how to do your time, okay? Learning how to track your time. That is how law firms get paid. So time is extremely important. They will teach you how to do it. Pay attention and make it a habit of doing it every day. Second one is email etiquette. A lot of people go straight to law school and never worked in a professional setting. And so learning how to email it's a learning curve, you guys. It really is. I tell you, back in the day, I used to spend 15 minutes just rereading my email and thinking it out and really just making sure it was perfect before hitting send. Next thing is, if you guys watch my vlogs, you guys know I'm in conference calls a lot, okay? So you will sit in on conference calls, take notes, and really try to get an understanding of what we're doing on these calls, what we're talking about. Another perfect kind of, you know, summer associate work assignment is research projects. You will do research projects, and this will actually be on the transactional side as well as the litigation side. I mean, you don't do as much research on transactional, but you do have to. And as a summer associate, it's a perfect kind of work assignment to give. We'll do kind of simple drafting projects, ancillary documents, and transactional, that would be a bill of sale or an assignment agreement or something like that. Very kind of ancillary documents. We'll do checklists. Checklists are extremely important in transactions. Closing checklists, basically you list everything needed to complete the transaction. Another possible thing you would do is prepare memos and briefs. You guys are used to doing that in law school. And then lastly, you guys will probably do a lot of trainings. Okay, let's get to the advice, okay? One of the things that were asking me is how to prepare. Honestly, I don't think you need to do a lot to prepare. I really think you should really just enjoy the experience being in it and soaking up as much as you can while you're in it. But, you know, I get wanting to be ready. So one, watch this video in full. Do some research on the practice areas of the firm so you can kind of think ahead of what types of work you might want to do and see and get exposed to. Ask your HR contact any questions that you might have about, you know, logistics or anything like that. Get a feel for the firm and their culture and kind of familiarize yourself with people you should know. You should know who's on the recruiting committee. You should know who the managing partner is. You should know who the HR contact is, those types of things. Lastly, but importantly, get your workwear together. You guys, this is a professional setting. Usually in the summers, especially during the summer program, firms will have kind of more casual, relaxed dress code, but it's still a professional setting. So make sure you have proper workwear to wear to work if you guys are going in person. And let me know if you guys wanted me to do a video about summer workwear for lawyers. Another question that was asked is how to navigate. And this is probably gonna be the bulk of the advice. So I know this video is getting long, but pay attention because this is important. If you aren't set on transactional or litigation, like me, I knew I wanted to do transactional. This would be a good time to kind of help you make your decision, okay? So make sure you get exposure to both. Another one is just make as many connections as you can. I spoke about this as well. You know, building those relationships, making connections are key. That is how you succeed in a law firm. This is kind of connected, but be outgoing, okay? Don't be afraid to reach out to people. If you guys are in person, go ask people to coffee. You know, put yourself out there, you guys, because these people need to know your name. They need to remember you. They need to be able to speak to experiences and work with you, okay? So don't be afraid to put yourself out there. If you guys are doing it virtually, virtual coffees, virtual happy hours are a thing, and they're actually pretty fun. Okay, this is a huge one, you guys. If you guys are in person, or whether you are or not, but particularly if you guys are in person, attend every event. Every event is another opportunity to connect with somebody at that firm so they know your name, remember your name, and can speak to you and recommend that the firm hire you. Go to every event. Some people felt overwhelmed by balancing the work versus the social, which I get because it's a new experience. You're not used to doing that. But what I would say is try your best to commit to both. Obviously, work comes first. But one thing I will say, one tip I would give is some days you're going to have to work late or get up early and work early in order to meet both your social and work commitments. And yeah, that's not the most ideal advice, but it's the real advice. I mean, you guys watch my channel. I very much have to sacrifice and wake up early and work late. That's my life. That's gonna be your life as an attorney, so you might as well get used to it. Okay, another thing is look at this summer associate program like a, X amount of week-long interview. So if you're there for 8 weeks, an 8-week-long interview, okay? Don't forget it's an interview. People will make you feel comfortable. It will feel fun. You will make connections. You'll do a lot of social things. There will be drinking. There will be fun. It's still an interview and treat it as such, okay? Not to say you can't drink, not to say you can't have fun, but it's still an interview, okay? No getting drunk, no craziness, okay? It's an interview. Treat it as such, okay? The next one is bond with your summer associate class. You guys, these people are likely going to be your future coworkers, okay? They'll be the people you can lean on, ask questions with and just experience it together, okay? So bond with your summer associate class, make connections with them as well. Don't just be so focused on getting to know every lawyer in the firm that you're not getting to know your peers who are going through it with you. Okay, here's another one. Be responsive. I know a lot of you guys go straight through to law school and have never worked in a professional setting, but being responsive is important. I know sometimes people will get emails and then they'll be asked to do something or asked a question and they don't want to respond until they can respond with that product or that answer. My suggestion would be to respond and let people know that you got it and that you're on it. Another very simple one, just be eager to learn, okay? This is all a learning experience. Be eager to learn. Soak everything up that you can, okay? Enjoy the experience and learn from it. Another one is speak up about what types of work you want to see, okay? And this doesn't mean be super pushy, but if you feel like you might want to be a tax lawyer, ask to get some tax law work. But also don't box yourself in. Don't be afraid to try new things. If you get an IP project and you just absolutely think you hate IP, don't say that. Just do it. You never know. You might learn that you love it, or this will be a confirmation that you don't love it and that it's not for you. Make sure people know what you're working on, and don't be afraid to seek out your mentors if you feel overwhelmed about something. That's what they're there for. Just make sure you communicate, okay? Okay, here's another one. In law firm settings, there is no clock in, clock out. Like, one of the most kind of questions that I have to answer so much is people will say, well, what time do you get off? Or what time do you have to be at work? And I'm like, our lives just don't work like that. We don't have a, you have to be at work at 8:30 or you get off at 5:30. That's just not how it works. We're always available, and we're professionals, and we get, discretion on how we kind of move in our careers. My suggestions for you as a summer associate is whatever floor you're on, whatever group you are in, I would pay attention to what time those people typically get to work and typically leave, okay? Because you don't want to be the person that no one ever sees, okay? So I would adopt the habits of the people on your floor as much as you can. Okay, lastly, but most importantly, I'm gonna give some quick advice about work product, okay? I spoke about the social a lot, and the social aspect is important, but we're all here to essentially get a job to do what? Work, okay? So here's some advice when it comes to your work assignments and your work product. Take detailed notes when you are given an assignment, okay? Most of the times you will go to that partner's office, or in virtual times, you will get on the phone with them, have that notepad ready, have that pen ready, and take notes. Don't be afraid to ask questions. It is inevitable that you won't know some terms, some things. This is all new to you. Do not be afraid to ask questions and seek clarity. And do this early, okay? Even if you've had the meeting, you wrote down your questions, and you dive into the assignment and you don't know something and you're just totally stumped, seek clarification. Don't spend hours cluelessly trying to figure it out on your own, okay? Go back to the associate or partner with the product and it's kind of half done and just not complete, okay? That is not good at all. This is a summer job for you. This is a real job for most people, okay? Which means we have real clients that we are serving, and there's a deadline for this. So seek clarification if you don't know. Okay, next one, attention to detail is so key, major, okay? You will be giving kind of, like I said, junior lawyer tasks. If you can perfect that, if there could be no spelling mistakes, no grammar mistakes, cross-reference, section references, all those things are great. This will build that attorney's confidence in you, okay? If you can get the little small stuff right, the attention to detail stuff right, they will start entrusting you with more substantive work. So get it right. The flip side to that is if you get it wrong, if you miss silly spelling mistakes, you know, they'll start to kind of question, well, you know, they can't even get a little checklist right. How are they gonna get a real document right? You know, so that's just something to think about. Another thing is really try to take the time to understand your assignments and how they fit into the larger picture, okay? So you guys know me, I'm a deal lawyer. One thing I mentioned before is the closing checklist. How does the closing checklist fit into the larger assignment? Well, the closing checklist keeps track of everything we need to do. We're busy attorneys who work on multiple matters at a time. So the closing checklist keeps us honest about making sure we have done everything we need to do, okay? Say you draft an ancillary document. Think about how that fits into the whole picture and try to get an understanding of what the entire transaction, case, matter, deal, whatever it is that you're on. And don't be afraid to be curious and ask questions. People like that. People like to see that you're curious and you want to know. It's kind of on that same note, think outside of the box. I feel like as students, we're taught, you know, study, 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 take a test. That's not how life works practically. We really have to think about things. There's always some new issue, some new nit, something coming up. So really just training yourself to not just think like a student and really think like a lawyer. Think outside of the box. Think about different strategies. Think about problems and think about how to solve them. Another thing you should do is take some time to reflect on the work assignments that you've got and how you feel about them, how you like them. Do they make you want to do more? Because this will help you kind of determine what type of work it is that you really enjoy and what you want to do, you know, for your career. Another thing is pay attention and ask for feedback, okay? Most likely you're going to draft a document and the partner or the associate is going to come back to you with comments. Look at those comments, read those comments, understand why those comments were made and why those changes were made. Obviously, you won't know everything, but really just trying to train your mind to think and be curious and ask questions and really understand why certain things are done a certain way will really put you on a good path to being a great lawyer. Lastly, keep a running list of every type of work assignment that you are exposed to and that you participate in, okay? Because this will be wonders for your legal resume, okay? You will want to be able to describe what you did during that summer. Instead of having to go back and remember, if you have written it down, it will be super helpful later. All right, you guys, so that's all I have for you. I know this video was a little bit long, but I do think it will kind of equip you to starting the summer associate program off on a good foot and securing that offer, okay? Because that's what we need to do. So I've done my part by giving you the keys. You do your part and go secure that offer and come back and let me know when you got it, okay? I'm rooting for you guys. So quick reminder to like this video, comment down below if it was helpful, make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.